I was at a music store, rummaging through CDs, when this caught my eye. It was clearly an album, but there was a Blu-ray logo on top, and in huge gold text it said High Fidelity Pure Audio. Naturally, this piqued my interest, so I bought it. Here's Fleetwood Mac's Rumors on Blu-ray, which is really weird to say. I wanted to know if this offered any real-world benefit over a CD. It's probably not more convenient, but are you getting anything for the extra $13 this cost? I don't want to waste your time, so let's play it. On the inside, there's the actual disc itself and the little booklet. The disc has a similar design to the label on the gold edition vinyl, which is kind of cool, and the data side of this disc looks exactly the same as a commercially pressed disc. Behind the booklet, there's a bunch of pictures, and the booklet itself has all the song names and lyrics. There's some credit for the people who mastered 5.1 and Atmos mixes, and at the very end, there's a copyright date of 2024, so this is a very recent release. I'll pop it out and load it in my Blu-ray player. This works on any normal player and supposedly has an option to listen without a TV, just like a CD. But for now, I'm gonna hook it up to my TV. Okay, it's spinning up and, well, it's playing. On the left is the album art and on the right is the track list. Very simple. On the bottom right, there's the audio setup options, and this is definitely cool. It defaults to Dolby Atmos, but you can click one of the other options and it just switches right to it without losing your spot in the song. That's pretty cool if you wanted to compare standards or whatever. Let's also check how it would work if your TV was off. I didn't realize until I checked the official website, but these color boxes next to the audio types actually correspond to the buttons on the remote. So if I click yellow, it just switches over to DTS stereo. That's cool, except for if you did this without a TV, you would have no idea which color corresponds to which track. There's no color coding anywhere, not even on the booklet, so you just have to guess. And the next and previous buttons and play, pause all do exactly what you'd expect. Now I don't have a way to listen to this in surround except for this old Panasonic system I have. The problem is that it only has analog inputs for each channel, so I need my computer for this. I'm going to be making a backup of this disc to my computer, and we can look at the file on it too. This disc, according to my backup software, is dated February 12th, 2024, so a little over a year ago. Nice. After backing up the disc, the end file is 8.3 gigabytes. That could definitely fit on a dual layer DVD, but that's not necessarily compatible with all DVD players, so I see why they chose Blu-ray. Let's quickly play this in VLC. And yeah, it's just a video file. And that video doesn't change at all throughout the entire video. It's still 1080p at 24 frames a second, but encoded at about 1.6 kilobits a second. I think it would have been cool to do a moving album cover or something, kind of like what Apple Music does. It's totally possible within those specs, and I really wish they did something with that opportunity. Anyway, VLC shows 6 audio streams, oddly enough. The first one is probably Atmos using Dolby True HD audio codec. It says there's 3 front channels, 2 middle channels, and 2 rear channels, and an LFE channel. All at 32 bits per sample, which is cool, and at 48 kilohertz, along with the second track, which is kind of a weird one. It's surround 5.1, but in a different codec than the DTS 5.1. Maybe this is some weird compatibility thing, because the next track is the actual DTS 5.1 track at 96 kilohertz and 24-bit. Then there's another DTS 5.1, exactly the same, but it's at 48 kilohertz, maybe again for compatibility. Then finally the last 2 are DTS stereo, one at 96 kilohertz and 24-bit, and the other at 48 kilohertz. I know that's a lot of numbers, but hopefully I made sense. It's interesting that none of those go all the way up to 192 kilohertz when it's completely possible it could have. And all the songs are just chapters on the same 45-minute video track, and the menu gets overlaid by the player. So this is really simple. Again, they could have done something so much cooler with this, like having moving artwork at a minimum. Or if, while you're listening, it has a little bit of background on each song that you could read along with, or something like that. I mean, there's 15 gigs free on the disc, why not? Anyway, I took this video, put it on my laptop, which is an old HP business laptop, because I don't know how macOS will handle surround like this. And then I used this ancient USB sound card that I bought years ago to output surround. And here are my thoughts. I spent the first while listening to Dolby Atmos, and it sounded great, but my surround speakers were barely doing anything. After turning on surround booster and moving physically closer to them, it still wasn't much. I felt like all it did is take the left and right audio and put it on my surround left and right speakers, but significantly quieter. But then I remembered I had the option for DTS and it was immediately better. The left and right channels quieted down a bit to let everything else shine. The surrounds were much louder, meaning much more noticeable. It was actually similarly leveled to the normal left and right speakers. Now we're talking. I can't actually convey this over YouTube because surround support seems a little flaky and I can't just play the whole audio track. But a couple things I noticed: secondhand news had the cymbals crashing in the rear, which was kind of cool. When it hit the main part in Go Your Own Way, the voice went from front and center to being multiple voices surrounding you, and it would fill the room and fully immerse you at the center. I don't want to go over every little surround effect that there was, but there was a lot of little effects, and it was pretty cool. The audio quality itself was also great, as expected. I was impressed. Of course, this isn't completely fair to it. This tested if the surround sound was worth it, but definitely didn't test the sound quality out. I simply don't have a nice setup to listen to this on. It just doesn't do the actual audio quality justice. But that's a good discussion. Is the 192 kHz or even the 96 kHz on this disc even worth it? Most audio is sampled at 44.1 or 48 kHz. I doubt many people would be able to tell if I recorded this video at 96 kHz or not. I know I couldn't, and after ABC testing Spotify, Apple Music, and Flax, I couldn't tell a difference. Even then, I think it's so cool that these high sampling rates and well-produced surround sound is accessible to consumers in a tangible form. If you love the album or just want the best possible listening experience, this is for you. I'll probably stick with CDs for now, but who knows, I might pick up a few more albums on Blu-ray. I also forgot to mention other surround sound formats. There was one on DVD, and there was even SACD, or Super Audio CD. I'm not going to go into too much detail since it's out of the scope for this video, but it was meant to be the next gen CD with surround and higher fidelity. It even had backward compatibility with old CD players on a whole different layer that was just normal CD audio. I thought it was pretty cool. Speaking of backward compatibility, it's really annoying to put these on my iPod. Come to think of it, I could transcode the video to something the iPod could play, but if I use Handbrake it loses the high sampling rate. And converting this to plain FLAC is even more annoying. People suggested all different ways with tons of different apps to use, but it just seems like a huge pain. I could convert it to 48 kHz MP3s, but I paid for the high quality master and I don't want to lose that data, even if I can't necessarily tell. For my entire library of normal CDs, all I have to do is pop it into Windows Media Player and it automatically starts ripping FLAC with all the metadata. I was going to say that Apple Music has Dolby Atmos tracks, and that would give you a taste of what it's like. But after listening to the real deal, it's not quite alike. To get the full experience, you turn on head tracking and stuff, and it's better than stereo, but it's not the same as the actual surround release. True surround sound is something different. And while I had it all set up, I wanted to experience more than just this album, so I grabbed some backups of movies I made on my server. I listened for a bit, but it wasn't quite the same. There were a few times I thought there was something behind me, but not to the extent of the Fleetwood Mac album. So I unplugged the left and right channels, and there was nothing coming from the center of surrounds. But VLC showed that it was playing surround. Then I realized, when I converted all these files to H.265 to save bandwidth and storage space, the script I used must have thrown out the surround tracks. And I've converted a lot of movies. It would take me days, probably weeks, to re-rip everything. Oh, and not only movies, but complete 8+ season TV shows. Like multiple. So that's fun. If you have any recommendations for movies or even albums that have awesome surround sound, let me know. This opened up another rabbit hole. Okay, I think I've said enough about this. It turned out cooler than I expected, and I got to experience true surround sound music. If you like my videos, consider supporting me on Patreon. I'd really appreciate it, and it lets me get cool stuff to show in videos. Thank you for watching.